Every story is important, and every story needs to be heard by someone, whether an audience of 1 or 1 million. Our stories are valuable because we have no idea the ripple effect it can have on generations to come. So join me in listening to stories of how unlikely people became unexpectedly connected. Their stories reveal that we were never meant to face life alone. And in helping one another, we end up finding ourselves and our purpose. Welcome to Letters from the Chosen. Welcome, and today I'm joined by my very own Deaconess Darlene Scott. And Deaconess is a powerhouse of a prayer warrior in our church. Love to watch her pray and intercede because it shows me a whole different side of her. But today we're not going to talk about how she prays, but we're going to hear her story. Behind that power is an incredible story of just victory and how she triumphed through a situation that hardened her and how God softened her and taught her how to surrender and give him control. So without further ado, I want to just introduce Darlene Scott to everyone.
Hi.
So hi, Darlene.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good.
I love the red. It looks beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. Now, I had mentioned that you're one of our amazing intercessors at our church. Can I ask, where did that fire and passion comes from? Because when you walk around, you're calm, quiet. You wouldn't expect it, but when you come up, there's that authority. You came to do business.
Actually, I was always like that even before I got, saved. I always was quiet. But if something happened or went wrong, that whole side would just come out. Like my whole personality would just shift. So when I started praying, I I don't even hear myself pray. So
Yeah.
so I can't hear what other people hear. So God just gave me a passion to pray from the time I got born again. And so, so I don't, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's a gift and an anointing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But you lean into it and you embrace it, and it's
yeah,
powerful and effective.
yeah.
So I love it. I love it. I love it because it makes me see you different when you get up there. I'm like, okay. So, what a lot of people may not know is the background and the journey God took you through before you even met Him. So, I want to talk a little bit about that today. So, you mentioned that you grew up in foster care. Can you give us background on how that journey began? How did you end up in foster care? And we can start with your parents. What happened with your biological parents that you first entered into the foster system?
Um, I only remember living with my mom. I guess she was probably separated from my father or already when I came along. Um, it was four of us. And somewhere along the line, before I was, no, after, before my younger sister was born, and I'm 2 years older than her, my mom had got sick, and we had to live with other family members. And so we was living with other family members. But what I realize now, because I always wondered, well, why didn't they keep us? They were just too
Yes.
young. They were really young. So I went from living with my cousins, my aunt on my father's side, then I went with my uncles on my mother's side, but they were all extremely young, and I don't know what happened. We finally, well, the oldest, the uncle that had us first, he couldn't keep us anymore because the babysitter he had for me and my youngest sister, she was not taking care of us. I mean, she had me at 3 or 4 years old to go out and cross the street and go to the store and get her some cigarettes. So when I came back and when my brother came home from school and I told him about it, he told my uncle, and he was like, no, the babysitter gotta go. So we then went to live with my other uncle because he couldn't find another babysitter. So we went to my other uncle who was the youngest. And I don't know what happened. All I know is woke up and the detectives was in the house. Next thing I know, we was in a car and I was placed in a children's center.
Yeah. So you said that your parents and I guess the aunts and uncles were young. Like approximately how old were your parents? And you said they had 4 children. Like around what age? And then yes, go ahead.
When my mom had me, she was 20. I believe she was 26 or younger. She wasn't older than that. But my older sister is 6 years older than me. So and the father was the same age. He was the same age as my Aunt Miles. So yeah. So
there. Go ahead.
He had siblings that was younger than him. And my mom was the oldest out of her family. So they were all young. Yeah.
Got it. So if she's 6 years younger, your mom's 19, 20, starting to have kids.
Yeah.
So very young. And then she's the oldest. So, and their siblings are even younger. Right. So for them to take on and start parenting, they're almost children themselves, kids themselves.
Right. And I believe like with my youngest uncle, he was still in that hangout stage. You know, so
yeah. And naturally, that's not a responsibility you put on a teenager.
Right.
Yeah, to do that. Wow. I was thinking about when you said wondering about why they hadn't kept you. I think every child that's removed from their family asks that question of, well, why didn't they? You know? And so when you kind of have an understanding of the story, that can give you hope when people find out, those who don't know their biological family, they find out, oh, that person had passed, or they were here, or they didn't know I existed, or in your case, they're, late teens, just entering adulthood, and their siblings are in their teenage years. Nobody's really ready to raise 4 kids.
Right. Yeah. And I just found that out only recently because we lost track of each other in the foster care system. And I lost track of my oldest sister, and I knew she had a child. And I was looking for my older sister and my niece. And just last year, through Ancestry, we found my niece.
Oh, wow.
Then my niece, because she stayed with the family, she started giving us information, and then that's when I started finding out about my family and started finding out, the age, because my father's sister just passed, and so my niece sent me the obituary. And when I read the obituary, I'm looking at my family for the first time, and I'm seeing them, and that's when I realized that they were all young. So they were too young.
How did it feel finally getting an answer to that? Because like I said, every child in that situation asks that question. Well, why did they give me up or not keep me? How did it feel finally having an answer to it?
Well, it was good, but it's not the answer that I was looking for, because mine wasn't so much, why didn't they keep me? Mine was, why didn't my mother want me? Out of 4 children, I was the only one that she rejected and didn't want. Even on her deathbed, she never acknowledge me. So that was
Wow.
always my question. What was it about me that she didn't like? So, I was like,
Mm,
I reminded her of someone that may have hurt her, whatever. But that was always my real question.
yeah. And you said that you're one of four. And so, may I ask, are you all the same father, same mother?
We thought
Because you
we
said you
were,
had some rejection from your
right.
parent. Mm-hmm.
We thought we were, because we was told that. And when my youngest sister did the ancestry, she found out she didn't have the same father.
Mm,
So I don't even know if I have the same father. That I don't
okay.
know,
Yeah.
because I'm a year younger than my brother. How you love him and can't stand me. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't understand. So there's a lot of stuff I didn't understand.
Yep. And not knowing that, you don't know how that even plays into it all. Um, right. If it has anything to do with him or not at all. And those are questions that
Right.
we have. Yeah. Um, I just a connection with that. I have a brother and me and my parents are like, she has a brother? We never heard of no brother, nothing. And my adoptive parents met my biological family, not my parents. My mother had passed, but she'd met her my mother's siblings,
Right.
and so she's like, "What brother are they talking about?" And so he was actually my cousin,
Mm.
but for them culturally, he's my brother.
Oh,
Oh, they
okay.
call him
Yeah.
that's your brother, and so like things like that come up where you're like, what's the connection, or who's this person that's so important, and it's like, okay, got it. So he's my aunt's son, but yeah, things like that come up where sometimes the relation you
Hmm.
know is questionable or not clear, or it's interpreted differently, and so um but so going on, you said that your mom uh had she passed away when you went into the foster care system, or just was she not able to take care of you?
No, she had gotten sick. She had gotten sick, and she stayed sick that whole time.
Mm.
She didn't pass away until I was in 12th grade.
Okay. Okay. All right. So she was just too ill to take care of you, and so that's when your family stepped in to help.
Right. They stepped in to help.
Yeah. Because there was also four of you guys, and she was a single parent doing
Right.
it. Yeah, yeah, a lot. So you've gone and you're with your different siblings, not siblings, I'm sorry. You're with your aunts and uncles, the babysitters not taking good care of you guys. Your one uncle is just too young. He's even
Hmm.
younger than your mom. Um, so what's the final situation that led into putting the four of you into the home, into the children's home?
I don't know. To this day, I don't know. I don't know what led up to us. Maybe neighbors called and said we wasn't being taken care of. I don't know. But even then, I don't think that would be the case, because why would the detectives be at the house? Detectives don't
Okay.
come to the house. So I don't know what happened. Um, but they just put us into the foster care system.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know my mother had put down it was to be long term. She did not want nobody adopt. Well, she didn't want the other three adopted.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted us all to be
Okay.
together.
Mm. Okay. So she wanted, her request was keep all the children together and just keep them in foster, not to
Hmm.
adopt.
Right.
Okay. Okay. About how old were you at that point when you entered the children's home?
I um I was 4, but the next week I would be 5. So basically, you could say
Okay.
I was really 5.
Yeah. Yeah. But little, little. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and your three siblings are in the children's home, and
Hmm.
there's been requests to keep you all together. What happened with the placement? Did they keep you guys together, or did they put you in separate foster homes? What was um, the next step they took with the four of you?
Okay, when the place they put me, my brother, and my youngest sister in the same children's center. My oldest sister, because she was older, had to go to a different place. She had to go to an all-girls place. So I
Okay.
stayed there for a week. When I turned
Mm-hmm.
5, they moved me into an all-girls place. And then I was there for about, I don't even know, because I went in November, because that's when my birthday is.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Christmas came up, and I don't know. I know I started going to school, but I don't know how long, whether I was there till I was 6. That I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know I was out by the time I wasn't there long,
Okay.
And when they went to place us, they was told all of us had to go together. They 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 don't even tell you that someone is interested in taking you in. All they do is they got me up, told me to get dressed. They get me up before everybody else, and they take me to this place. I see my brother and my oldest sister. We're there, and we're just sitting there. So that's it. They don't tell us anything, and we're just sitting there. And we're asking where is my youngest sister, and they said, oh, she's sick, so she couldn't come. And then I just know one woman came up and spoke to me and asked me a question. Then another woman came and asked me a question. And I didn't know what was going on. It was my
Yeah.
brother and my older sister who told me what was going on. And I was like, oh, because I was still young and still didn't understand what was really going on. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, but they was told that they had to take all of us. But the agency does what they want to do. So they allowed this one woman to take just the 3 of us and put my
Okay.
youngest sister in a different home.
Oh, okay. Okay. So they took just the three of you, and
Hmm.
your younger sister went to a different home.
Right.
Um, why do you think your mom had that request? And I know, as you said, you were really young at that age, but why do you think she had those two requests about not allowing you to be adopted, and that her children had to stay together? Because it's much harder to place a group of kids than just obviously a single child.
I I think what it was, I think she believed that somewhere along the line she'd be able to take us back.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it helps you to keep track of them. I actually love that. I had heard there was a story on TV about twins that had been separated,
Mhm.
and they met each other in their like 20s. Um, the one sister started searching, knew that she had a sibling, and then found out, or she knew she had a sister and found out it was her twin. And it took a long time, but was able to track them down. But talked about how different things might have been if she had gotten to grow up with her twin. So,
Yeah.
yeah, whenever it can be done to keep them together, so you just have some family and togetherness, especially for kids.
Mhm.
So you're going into your first home with your siblings. Can you tell me what your first experience was like going into a foster home?
Um, Went into the home. It was me, my older sister, my brother, and there was another boy. He was foster. He came along, and then the foster mom had she had an adopted daughter that was the same age as my oldest sister. And then she had her birth child, who was in her 20s. She was in college, graduating from college.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was, I don't know, it wasn't, I don't know, it's like, I don't know, like when I first went in, I don't think I had any feelings, because by that time, I was already disconnected. My heart was already hard. I was already between the abuse of my mother for the route that I lived with her before she got sick, then the abuse from the children's home. Then by the time I get to the foster home, I'm just indifferent. I just don't care about anything or anyone. So it was just, okay, I'm here, because from the time I was born, I was from place to place to place to place, just moving around.
So you said going into your first foster home, you're kind of indifferent. You don't really have any feeling. You're hardened at that point because of abuse from your mom and then from the children's home. Can you just briefly talk about that? You mentioned with your mom that she favored the other children, and not sure why. Could it be related? Different father? Don't know. Don't have the answers for that. So because of that, was there mistreatment then? You said there was abuse from her?
Yeah, I was always, she didn't acknowledge me. It's like it was like when I was there and my brother was away at school, to her, I didn't exist. So she didn't feed me. I didn't get fed until he came home and he ate. She was always beating me for, that's all I can remember, her constantly beating me. And I remember one time just running and hiding and staying in there for hours. So that, so with that, and then you go into the children's home, and the abuse, and it wasn't a physical abuse, but it's like sometimes how things follow you, and like I had said, when I went there, we knew nothing about Christmas or Santa Claus gifts or nothing like that, because we didn't, and this one little girl wanted this gift, and I ended up with the gift. So she told the counselor there that I took her gift. The counselor took the toy that I had and gave it to the little girl, and I'm sitting there just like indifferent and just like, listen, I don't even know what this toy is, okay? I don't know what this toy is, but just the fact that you took something that was given to me and you believed the lie, and so from there it's like a cycle went on where a lot of lies will be said concerning me and people just believe it. And so it just kind of like hardens you even more. So by the time I get into the foster home with the first mom, she was really strict. This woman was strict, and she was abusive verbally and physically. So
so the cycle continued. So you've gone through the abuse from your mom, and even when you mentioned the story about being in the home and they took the gift, it was almost like you said you had to wait for your brother to get the meal, like he would go first and then you kind of being placed second. And now you're going into the foster home and you're experiencing abuse there. Was it just, well, describe what type of abuse, and
Okay,
then was it just you or the other children too?
no, all of us,
Mm,
all of the foster kids.
okay.
Um, we was, she was constantly, I just remember being knocked upside the head, knocked into closets,
Mm.
just being beaten to it. Like I was sickly. By the time I got into the um, children's center, I was always in a hospital, sick from, I don't know, always sick. Then with her, so I'm sick. One day I got up, I was sick, and I'm little. I'm still in fourth grade. And we had to get up every Saturday morning and make our beds, put hospital corners in the bed like the military. And the beds had to be completely neat, everything done. If not, she'd come and take it all apart and make you do it again. So one day I didn't move fast enough for her because I was sick. And she went and took all my clothes, my favorite clothes, and gave them all away. She would take
Wow.
if anybody gave us any toys, she'd take them and give them all away. She,
Mm,
then I guess, like, I just developed this thing of sucking my thumb. So she would beat me every
yeah.
night. She beat me every night before I went to bed. I got to beat
Uh,
me every single night. So then she would just, any little thing, she would find to beat you with. Then she would constantly tell me that I was ugly and constantly telling me that only my mother could love me.
mm,
And you know, as a child, deep down inside, you know that your mother don't like you. So you're
yeah.
like, wait a minute. So I remember thinking, if only my mother could
Mm,
love me, and my mother don't love me, then I would never
mm-hmm.
be loved. So I grew up
Wow.
believing that I would never be loved.
Lie of the enemy. Wow. So you're going through this horrible abuse, and it's doubly worse because you're a little child. You don't understand, can't make sense of the situation and read adults as an adult can, and
Hmm.
advocate for yourself and all those things that an adult would be
Right.
able to do. And what you're told is what you believe. Like you said, she tells you that that lie, only your mother would love you. So you come away with believing you're unlovable, but that's
Hmm.
not true. So you're in this situation, all the adopted children are getting abused. Is there, what about the foster uh, father? Was she married?
Yes, he was, but
Okay.
he was an alcoholic, and
Mm,
for some reason he took to me, and he would go
okay.
and visit, and he would always take me with him. And because the rest of the siblings, they didn't like being around him. I didn't see. It's like it didn't bother me,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, and she she was so that even one time she beat this man up to the point where she messed up his whole eye, you know. So
Yeah.
she was that was, I don't know, that was her.
Yeah. So she was abusive to him too.
Yeah.
So you couldn't get any help from him because one,
No.
he's
Mm-mm.
alcoholic, so he doesn't always have control of himself. And then she'd taken advantage of that to abuse him. So I'm assuming he didn't speak up for you then during the abuse for the children, even though he took to you. Did he ever
No, he
intervene or
no,
just,
no, he was basically never really on the scene. It's like the
oh,
few
okay.
times remember seeing him on the scene interacting with me was when he'd go out and he'd take me with him, you know.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
other than that, he
Um,
was never really on the scene.
Okay. All right. So he's not there. Um, did the what would I say? I guess the social worker come any advocacy that you had to be able to get out of that situation or tell what
No.
was going
Mm-mm.
on?
No, at that time, no social workers came. Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay.
No.
Did you ever try to share what the situation was like? So you're going through the abuse. Was everything else and harsh disciplining, beds not made perfectly? How was food, clothing, things like that?
But one thing I could always say, in both homes I was in, they always fed us and they always clothed us, and we got
Okay.
clothed very well, you know. So that's one thing. But the social workers in, especially at that age, they don't intervene. And like only
Mm,
one time the social worker intervened. Like I said, that had to have been God, because
mm,
she had a she didn't want my oldest sister. She never wanted my oldest sister from the beginning. She wanted one
okay.
little girl, but I was the one little girl she wanted, but I came with two siblings. So
Mm,
she found a way. She had to turn my oldest sister against me. So she told my older sister all these lies, kept saying all this stuff, and then she called up the agency and told them that my older sister had to go. And because she lied and told so many lies about to separate me and my older sister just went. And
mm,
so now that her daughter is there, and she had this thing where the oldest person had to do everything first before the youngest one could. Her
okay.
adopted daughter could not ride a bike, could not roll skates. She couldn't do nothing. So that meant I
Mm,
could do nothing. So she had a bike in the
mm,
house, and I wanted to ride the bike. And I asked the father, I remember that incident, he was there, and I said, can you take me out to ride this bike? He said, I can't, because Gloria, the oldest daughter, she has to ride the bike first. I said, so take her. He said, she can't learn. He said he takes her out, but she couldn't grasp to ride a bike. So next, I wanted to pair a roller skates then. And she wasn't going to give them to me. And
mm.
somehow, don't know what happened, how the social worker came. And when she came, I'm looking at her like, why are you here? Because I've never seen you before. You're not around. And she asked
Yeah.
me, what did I want for Christmas? She said, what's one thing you really want for Christmas? And I'm like, my mind is like, okay, why are you asking this? So then I said, okay, and I told her what I wanted. I said, I want a pair of roller skates. And she said, okay, and that was it.
Mm,
And when Christmas came, no roller skates.
yeah.
So, and I wasn't, and it's like, you're used to not getting anything or having something, so it wasn't no.
Yep.
So when about 2 weeks later, the social worker came back to the house, and she said,
Mm-hmm.
so how did you like the Christmas gift? And I'm like, looking at her like, what? And I'm looking at her like, what are you talking about? And she said, you didn't get her. She said, wait a minute, that's it. And she just walked away.
Mm.
By the end of the day, the foster mom brought me the gift that the social worker had left for me. And it was the roller skates. And she was mad. She was like, I wouldn't have gotten these for you. So the social worker brought me the skates, but the foster mom took them and put them up and wouldn't give them to me. But the social worker made her give me those skates.
Wow. Hmm. Did you get to keep those skates
Mm-hmm.
after she left? You did.
Yes, I
Okay.
did, because she couldn't take them away, because the social worker told her those are my skates and I better have those skates. So she knew that if the women checked, I better have those
Mm-hmm.
skates.
So, okay. Well, I'm glad that you got at least one gift and you got to keep it and something just for you. Um, so I was thinking about how the foster mom didn't want anyone to do anything or have anything her daughter didn't have. And I guess
Hmm.
it's her way of making sure that her daughter is elevated better than everyone else. And I guess to keep her from feeling inadequate, because you said the her this is her adopted daughter.
Yes. But it wasn't
Yeah.
that, it was a culture that she came up under. She was, I don't know
Okay.
what, I know I found out later she was Caribbean of some sort. I'm not sure which one, but it was the culture that
Okay.
she was under where the
Hmm.
oldest have to go first in everything. The youngest one could not
Okay.
go ahead of the oldest one.
Okay. Understood. So it was more of a cultural practice,
Yeah.
and all the other children were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So how long did you continue to live with this foster mother?
To the end of fourth grade.
And of fourth grade. Okay. After that, where did you go? And I just want to go back to your older sister. The foster mom has driven her away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where does she go to?
She went to another girl's home upstate.
Okay. Okay. So now she's separated from you and your three siblings now.
Right.
And it's just the three of you. All
Well,
right. So what
no,
happens to...
no. It's
Hmm.
just me and my brother. Because
Oh, right.
because my youngest sister,
Hmm.
I didn't see her for years and years and years. And by the time
Mm,
my mother, I found out it was my mother who kept demanding the agency to
hmm.
have us visit. And when they finally brought us to visit, she didn't know who we were because she never knew she had sisters and brothers.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Okay, so it's just you and your brother, your
Hmm.
younger sisters with another agency, your older sisters at the girls' home.
Hmm.
What happens next for you and your brother leaving
Um,
this abusive home that you're in?
okay, what happened was my brother never accepted living in the home, especially all the abuse and stuff. And he always believed
Mm-hmm.
that he would be able to go back and live with his mom because my mother spoiled him. He was
Mm-hmm.
the only boy and she spoiled him. So he really knew his mother and he wanted to go back to her.
Mm-hmm.
So the foster mom wanted to move from the Bronx to Manhattan and she wanted to take me. But she didn't want my brother.
Mm-hmm.
So she couldn't split us up like she did my oldest sister. So she had to
Mm-hmm.
ask me, did I want to stay with her or stay with my brother?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that time because before I could think about anything, God just brought the words out of my mouth, I'm staying with my brother. Because after I said that, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
right. I was like, right, I say that. Because like that time with being so indifferent, I really had
Yeah.
no love for no one, not even my brother. You know, I did
Mm-hmm.
not really, you know, I just didn't. When my brother had ran away one time from the foster home and nobody knew where he was and the police, everybody was out there looking for him. I was just there like, okay, so what? You know, it didn't,
Yep.
you know, it wasn't like I was, where's my brother? And I'm crying and you know, so God knew that he had to intervene at that time. And he had to speak through me to say, I'm staying with my brother. Because if not,
Mm.
we all would have been separated.
Wow. So you believe it was God in that moment speaking through you
Hmm.
on your behalf?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you've told her you want to stay with your brother. What happens next? They have to keep you all together. She only wants a little girl. So what
So
do they decide to do?
Well, she was going to move anyway because she wanted to move to Manhattan. So her two moved out. Oh, she got rid of the other boy. She got rid of the other boy. She got rid of him. She got rid of him way before. She didn't, yeah, because he was a handful. He was really bad. So she hurried up and got rid of him. And she took her two, and her husband. They moved out. We stayed in that same apartment, and another foster family came in.
Okay. The other foster boy that was with you, what do you say, got rid of him? Do you mean he got sent back to the children's home?
Yeah.
For a new placement? Okay, got a new placement.
He got sent back.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Got sent back. Okay. All right. So you're at this home and they bring in a new foster mom. So does that mean, was this another type of home? Or was this the couple's house?
No, I don't know when they started the group homes, but somehow this apartment we was in the project. This apartment was slated for the agency because everyone that came, because even after we left, another foster family came in. So it was always foster families coming into that apartment.
Okay. So what's it like with the new mother? And is it, again, you and your brother in this home still?
Right. It's me and my brother. It's completely different because the first foster mom was really strict. When I mean strict. We didn't watch TV. We didn't, what the good thing of, so it was very strict. She was really, really strict. And this new mom was the complete opposite. Like with the first mom, she always did my hair, did everything, This new mom didn't do hair, didn't do nothing. I didn't know how to do hair because I was never taught. She didn't do hair. So she came in at the beginning of 5th grade, but then they also now, because this is a apartment with the foster agency, now it's just, it was her and her husband, and she had a little boy that she had adopted. He was 3, and it's me and my brother. So it's like, no, that more kids have to be in this home. So 3 more foster kids came into the home. So 3 foster siblings. They were all sisters. They came into the home.
Wow. So at this point, there's you and your brother, 3 other foster children, and then she's got an adopted child with her.
Right.
So there's 6 kids in this apartment. And is there a male figure too?
Yes, it was her and her husband.
Her and her husband too. Okay, so a pretty crowded apartment.
Well,
what
no,
was it
because
like?
It wasn't crowded because it was a 4-bedroom apartment.
Oh, very nice. So at least you had bedrooms,
two
you
in
weren't
every
all
room.
2 in every room.
2 in every
okay.
room.
Okay. So you had at least a bed to sleep then. Okay.
The only one who didn't have a bed to sleep in was the 3-year-old.
Okay.
So he went from bed to bed to bed, sleeping with everyone.
Oh. All right. So what was it like with the second mother and father and foster father?
With the second one was when it really just made me get to the point where the hatred and the wrath and the anger and everything just boiled up, because not realizing she was young too, and it wasn't until years later, God started, telling me how young she was, and here she is, she's young, and when it was just me and my brother first before the other 3 came in, she went to hug me because she wanted a little girl, and she went to hug me, and I just screamed. And I started screaming, because no one had ever hugged me before. I wasn't used to nobody hugging me and doing all of that. So I just started screaming, and she didn't know how to handle it. So she drew back. And I was like, pushed, I don't know how to deal with you. So I got pushed, to the side. So when the 3 siblings came in, the other 3 came in, she, out of all of us, she picked her little favorite, which was one of the sisters. And that was fine until an incident happened where that sister had stolen money. And we all knew the person that stole the money. And the foster mom kept saying, okay, who took the money? And nobody would say nothing because we were waiting for her, the sister that stole it, to say something. And she didn't. So finally we all she put us all on punishment. She said, you're all going to stay on punishment. You can't go outside. You go to school, come home. That's it. Won't do nothing, nothing until the person who took the money confesses. So finally we all got together and decided, okay, we'll go in and say, so my brother went in and said, I took the money. She said, no, you didn't buy. The oldest sister went in and said, I took the money. No, you didn't buy. The other sister, I took the money. No, you didn't buy. So the other one, no, you didn't buy. So when I come in and I said, I took the money, she said, I was waiting for you to tell me that you took the money. And I'm like, no, but I didn't take the money. I'm just saying, like everybody else did. I didn't take the money. She wouldn't believe me. And so I remember she had me on the kitchen floor, and I forgot what it was she was beating me with. And she kept beating me and beating me and beating me and told me I had to confess that I took the money. And I said I didn't take it. I wasn't going to confess to something that I didn't do. And she just kept beating me. She said, if you don't say you took the money, I'm gonna send you back to the home. So I just said, okay, I took the money. But it was at that time that thing just, that anger, and just everything just, it's just, and then her husband knew that I didn't take the money.
Okay.
But
Did he try to help?
No. He told one of the foster sisters, because she said to him, why don't you go and tell her who really took their money? He said, I can't do that. He said, because she believes that that's what she believes. Yeah. And if I go in there and rock the boat, it's going to be on me. He said, I'm not going to do that. So because he refused, so it's like, I was like, oh, okay, I didn't do it, but you're going to allow all this stuff. So I kind of pushed him aside and distanced myself from him. So we basically was like this growing up, me and the foster mom. It's like we was always like bumping heads. And then the agency always sent us away to overnight camp. Either we went to day camp or overnight camp. So as we got older, we went to overnight camp. And one summer we went to overnight camp, and we was gone. And we came back, and she had moved us to Queens. Never told us she was moving. It was like we didn't get closure to say goodbye to our friends. No one. And that made me so angry. So that was another point in my life where I was like, and then from that point on, that me and her kept having, it was like whatever she said to me, I would have a smart answer or a smart, because I was like, I just couldn't, And so by 10th grade, we was at the point where she was like, I'm not doing nothing for you. She said, what money you make from your summer jobs, that's what you're going to use to take care of yourself. I'm not giving you a dime.
Wow.
And so from 10th grade, basically I was buying my own clothes and doing whatever. I was living in the house, but, She still allowed me to eat because, the agency was still giving her
Yeah.
money. She still, I still ate the food, ate whenever I wanted and stuff. But as far as clothing and anything that I needed, she was like, no, that's on you. I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until
Okay.
later, after I was the only foster child left there, that she started, God started the healing process. She started, like, coming around. But at that time, I was just so hardened that I don't believe what you have to say. I said, don't say that you love me. Don't say that I'm your daughter, because I don't believe it. I didn't believe it. I didn't accept it. You know.
Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to unpack a little bit of that relationship that you had with the second foster mom. So you said you went through the abuse with your mom and rejection from her right away, and then you meet the second foster mother. And did she reject you right away, or did she try to have a relationship with you, or did it go straight into the abuse?
Oh no, she tried to have a relationship with me, but because how she did it was, for me, the wrong way.
Okay.
Because the relationship she wanted a little girl that she could hug and hold, and I was just not that little girl by that time. So and remember, this woman was 26, which I found out later when she took in 5 foster kids that had serious problems. The oldest foster child from the other one was always trying to commit suicide. They never got over the fact that they had to go into the foster care system because their mother had died. So all of us had problems, and there was no one to counsel. There was no one counseling us. There was no one counseling her. There was and we all, with our different problems, coming together in a home, trying to live together as a family, which wasn't working. Later on, as we got older, even though we would argue and fight among ourselves, we always fought for one another. So on the outside, we was there for one another. You touch one, you touch all of us. So
Yeah.
we had that mentality. But as far as a real family, it
Yeah.
it wasn't there, because when one of the foster siblings did something wrong, and you got mad, packed up her clothes in a garbage bag and took her to the agency and dumped her there. Now,
Yeah.
if this was your real child that did this,
Yes.
you would still love that child because that's your child. All children are going to get into trouble. So why would you take, if a foster child does something that another child, that you birth, they both do the same thing, but one you accept, the other one, oh no, I'm sending you back to the agency. So it's like,
Yeah.
you can't be a
Right.
family. And so when I'm seeing this, I'm like, how do you do that? So it's,
Yeah. I really was like, just hearing that was thinking of how you weren't accepting the love that was coming to you. And so I guess what you're saying, one of the reasons is because it wasn't really that sense of family where you're seeing abuse and you're seeing such harsh punishment where you can, in a moment, you make a mistake as a child and you're out of the home. Was this the same with the first mother who wanted to keep you?
the first mother did not hug. She this first woman had no feelings whatsoever. There was
Okay.
nothing. She did not celebrate our birthdays. Our birthdays, as far as did not exist. Um, one day, she came. It was around my birthday time, and she threw a hat. That was at the table sitting there eating, and she threw a hat at the table and said, "Here, that's for you because you need the hat. It's not a birthday gift. It's just that you needed a hat, so there you got the hat." So she was not loving. There was nothing loving about her at all, you know. But the other mother was completely different. She was
Right.
young, she was
Mm-hmm.
loving, and she was playful. And I
Mm-hmm. Yep.
my personality was not like that. So that's why we didn't that's why she didn't know how to deal with me. And even as I got older, I noticed a lot of people didn't know how to deal with me, you know. But yeah, but it's like we got very close after I got born again. We got very close because God had to deal with my heart, and He had to deal with me,
Yes.
and He had to let me know, you know, she did what she knew how. At 26, she got 5 kids that got serious problems. You know, as far as, you know, anytime you move a child from their home into a foster home, they're going to have problems, you know.
Absolutely.
And she did the best she knew how. You know, that's what
Yep.
she knew how. And so I had to learn to. That was the first thing God had to deal with me on, was forgiveness. I
Yeah.
just learned how to just forgive, just forgive, just forgive. You know, and yeah, so we got really close. We became a mother and daughter at the very end.
Okay. All right. Before we go into that, I just wanted to unpack a little bit more when you said God had to deal with you first. And that's an area where, as you said, the foster parents did not know about, but because you'd gotten the rejection from your biological mother, you didn't receive love and care from her, had to wait to eat last, all of that happened. Then you go to the second mother. She takes care in making sure, like you said, you guys look good on the outside, make sure you're dressed proper, but isn't showing any love, affection, no gifts, no celebrating anything, harsh punishments, and to the point of abuse. She abuses you regularly. You finally get to the third mother figure, who is the second foster mom, and she's wanting a relationship, and she uh, reaches out to you and you reject it. You won't let her hug you, none of that. And
Right.
because she doesn't understand what you've been through, that one, it's nothing you're used to. You've never had it. So it's like, what are you doing to me? They even tell you, even strangers who want to just go and hug kids, you know, being a teacher, it's like, no, you don't just go and grab a child, you know, you let them hug you, right? You know, the only time really is like if it's your own, you know, you're going to teach them to feel safe, but you don't go and just hug a child who doesn't know you. And it's a defense mechanism, you know, stranger danger. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know who this person is, and you've had abuse from adults. Is she going to hug me or hurt me? Um, and so there's a healing that has to come from that, um, and seeing people differently that um, this foster mother didn't know. So that actually, if she understood that, she could let it go and just show acts of kindness, and prove herself trustworthy to kind of
Mm-hmm.
gain your affection.
Yeah.
But like you said, she was young, and you said they had um, no training. I wanted to ask, did they have any background on the kids they were getting? You said one of the older kids was suicidal because of the situation she was in. You'd been through abuse, neglect, and been handed from family to family. So you were hardened, calloused, defensive, fearful. It's yeah, you know. So did she have, or any of the foster parents get your backgrounds?
No. Mm-mm. No, they don't give
Okay.
you your backgrounds. They don't get backgrounds like that. Mm-mm.
To the foster parents.
Right. The only time I think you really get a person's background really is when you're going to adopt the child.
Mm. Wow. So these foster parents are going in blind, so they don't know basic things like, oh, they like this, or this child doesn't like to be hugged yet. They went through abuse, or they don't get any of that.
No.
Mm.
At least not back then. Now they might. Now they do. But back then, no.
All right. So you mentioned how your mother, your second foster mother, the two of you had a really kind of volatile relationship, but you got to a place where you forgave her. How did you get to that point of being so hardened through all that you've been through, and then her negative response to not receiving acceptance from you, that she also became abusive, to the place of forgiveness, and having an amicable relationship?
Um, one, she was a Christian. I knew nothing about God. Didn't go to church or anything. And so she would have us go to church, but we would go just to hang out, 'cause I didn't know God. As far as God wasn't real to me. Um, and one day I was home and she came up and said something to me, and then I said it had to have been God because she would, she had never done that. That was the first and last time she ever did that. She came up in my room and she said, I was just reading something. And
Mm.
she was saying, it was about being saved and going to hell, and if you're a Christian, you should marry another Christian. And she was saying all this stuff that she was just got finished reading in this book. And by the time she got finished, I was just looking at her like, and then she just went downstairs. And I remember saying to myself, I don't gamble. I don't like to gamble. So I don't know if there's a heaven or hell, but since I don't like to gamble, I'm going to choose heaven. Because I'm going through enough hell now. I don't want to do hell for all eternity.
Powerful.
So that was when I started, before I would go to bed at night, I would just be in the bed, be under the covers, my hands be like this, and I'd say, Lord, I would ask him to just give me a family of my own that I could love, and I would ask him to take certain things, take the hatred out of my heart and stuff like that. And because everywhere I went, how I was feeling on the inside started showing on the outside. So even when I went away to school, my name became evil or Simon Bar Sinister, They were always, because I was just so, it just was show. And without realizing it, he slowly started doing it. But it wasn't until I was 75. Was 75? Well, it was when my mom passed, 75. And I would see I came across a chick tract and in the back it's like salvation. I said it, but not really knowing the full course of what I was saying. But I believe God honored that. And so slowly along the line, along the timeline, without realizing that he was dealing, and he was bringing me into that place where I would completely turn to him. And I was, I think when my real mom had passed, and of course the foster home mom, the first one, was saying, oh, nobody would love you like your mother. And as a child, even though I had to hate my real mom in order to get past the hurt. And so I would start hating people who would hurt me to get past the hurt. So
wow.
But deep down inside, as a child, you always want your mother to love you.
Yeah.
And so I was always believing that she would come around. And when she died, and she never did, I remember I went into the bathroom and I cried. And I just called on the name of Jesus. And I said, I'm all alone now with no one in this whole world. And that's when he started drawing me to him. And he, he started taking away the drugs, taking away the alcohol. He started taking away a lot of stuff. And by the time I came out of college, he started drawing me to go to church, and now I was going for, to learn more about him. And then I started reading, and then I was drawn to him because demonic forces was coming up against me. I mean, I'm like, I don't know nothing about this, because I never believed that demons was real,
Yeah.
And when all of a sudden I'm in this battle, I'm like, wait, what's going on here? So he just started, I just got a hunger for his word. And my cousin was he was saying to me, oh, just plead the blood. I had no idea what that meant, but he was like, just plead the blood. And so one day something had happened, and I got so mad, and I was home, and I found out something that they had did, and I was like, you know what? When they come in, I'm gonna go off on everyone. I was just gonna go off on everyone, and I remember God spoke to me and said, if you do that, if you go back down that road where I'm bringing you from, you will never find your way back. And I was like, no, I can't go back there. So that's when I just kept pushing into him. And then it got to the point where it was a battle, because I realized now the enemy did not want me to find salvation, to find deliverance, to find healing. So it was the battle intensified to the point where my friends called and they was like, no, we're bringing you out of there. You're going to go to the Bronx and live with us. You're not going to stay in the house anymore. So I just packed up and left. And once I left, that's when God started the healing. And he took me through books and stuff and told me I have to forgive myself. I have to forgive if my real mother had passed. There's a way you just repent of that. You got to ask, because in order for God to even begin to really deal with me, that unforgiveness had to come out of me, because he can't work with you if you not forgiving, people. He can't, there have to be a forgiveness in your heart. So that was the first thing he started working with me on, just forgiveness, just to forgive, And so I had to start, I would go to her and I would, and I would even on cards, I would write, when I would just write things that the Holy Spirit would lead me. I would write stuff to her to let her know that I loved her, and forgive me for how I behaved and how I acted,
Yeah.
and and it took, and it's so he just went through that process.
Mm. That was powerful. And you dropped so many truths, um, very quickly because it's your truth and you've had to walk it out. But for those in any type of situation that they're working through their forgiveness, um, it's not easy. And a big part of it is what you said. You also have to get forgiveness for yourself, for your response, right? We can't control what others do, but how we
Mm-hmm.
respond can intensify it, de escalate it. It can delay us in the
Mm-hmm.
spiritual, it can move us forward, all of that. So, a couple things I want to go back to is how you said you heard about God and you knew that you didn't want to end up in hell. If there was a heaven and a hell, you already knew what that was like and you didn't want to spend your eternity there. Um, I love that simple understanding of salvation from a teenager, young adult, but the truth of that for even adults. I've heard a quote by someone on a similar thing of saying a similar thing of how if there's a heaven or hell, what do you have to lose in believing that you can have life with your heavenly Father at the end, right? They said if it's all a lie and all these people and it's a hoax and they gave up their life for that, it's like what do you got to lose?
Mm-hmm.
You're living a good life where you're supposed to treat others well, treat yourself well, honor your
Mm-hmm.
body, honor yourself, honor God. What do you have to lose if it wasn't so, right? Just following on that logic. The other thing you said about the healing process, beginning with forgiveness, um, and you said you had to forgive her and then also forgive yourself,
Mm-hmm.
um, for how you responded in the
Mm-hmm.
situation. Um, and then you said about being, you talked a little bit about your response was hatred.
Mm-hmm.
So, because of what you didn't get, hate kind of developed in your heart. So, you had to hate your mother for what she did in order for you to be able to accept yourself because you didn't get love from her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So, how did healing come from that? Because that's the root of that wound is from her at a young age. That's planted in you. Rejected, unlovable by my mother. And then that lie is reinforced. Unlovable, that lie is reinforced. Um, did you have to forgive her too? What was that kind of first step? Then, forgiving the mother, forgiving self.
Yeah, I had to basically go down the line and forgive everyone, but
Mm.
the healing basically came years later.
Mm.
That forgiveness was just the open door to bring the relationship together between me and my foster mom. But as far as the anger, the wrath, the hatred, all the stuff that was in me, that was a process that went on later on down, and even a process that I just been going through, because when it's like certain things will come up in me and I'm like, okay, why am I acting like this? Not realizing it's a generational thing. And it was a
Okay.
generational thing for my real family. So
Mm.
so it's like I've been going through just, all the anger, wrath, and all that stuff. That was, God dealt with that. then the next set was he had to deal with the emotional and all that stuff. Then it came to where he had to deal with the generational curses, and because a lot of stuff that was going on in my life was generational.
Yeah.
And then even some of the sickness that came upon me was not what it was generational, but some of it was because of the anger and the hatred that was in me. So because like they say, that anger and that hatred can eat you up inside.
Oh.
And so I had to learn how to renounce that for physical healing and emotional. So it went to both spectrum. I had to do both. But it's
Wow.
been a long, long journey and fast process. So it's like, and you have to forgive yourself because, like I said, you can't allow that hatred to be inside of you. You can't allow all that to be in you because it just eats you up inside. You know, you have to forgive. You have to forgive yourself, and you can't allow that hatred to be inside. You know, you have to let it go. And the sooner you let it go, the better. The longer you hang on to it, the harder it is to go through that deliverance process, because you're going to go through layers and layers and layers and layers. There were so many layers of anger that I didn't even know about. There were things that I would do, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And then I'd be like, God, why am I doing this? And then he would lead me and teach me how that's a form of anger. And I'd be like, anger, you know? And so, so it's a journey. And the longer you let yourself walk in that path, the harder it is, the longer it is for the deliverance process.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's like the longer you hang on to that anger, it can then take root, you know? And like I've learned, emotions, it's an indicator, but it can define you and become a part of you if you keep holding on to it and keep feeding it. So sometimes where people stop is right with the other person. So I loved how you pointed out, and just take away for those listening who've gone through any type of abuse, and even if it's not abuse, you can feel neglect from biological parents, from friends, peers, school, teachers. It happens because we're all fallen. Even unintentionally, just somebody making an offhanded comment. If it's not dealt with, you believe that comment, it defines you.
Right.
So you said about the forgiveness, you had to forgive her in order for you to have a relationship with her, for you to have any dialogue. And so you said you wrote her letters?
I wasn't letters, it was cards. Like it would be Mother's Day.
You wrote her cards.
And I would write in the card, so the letter would be inside the card. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Actually, the reason for the podcast Letters from the Chosens is when I was younger, I would write things down, and that's how sometimes I could express what's in my heart. And if anyone is new to listening, I'm also adopted, and so I have siblings who aren't adopted, and I'm the one adopted in the family. And so I remember one time I felt distance from them, like not much of a relationship with them, and not feeling accepted by them. So, and I didn't want them to think anything of me, because anybody who comes into a new home, you're like, this is my family. Especially if you're looking and desiring that. And as a little kid, I was looking and desiring a home. So I wrote them a note, and I wrote my sister, and I told her how much I loved her and how much I appreciated her and how much she meant to me. And I remember I went into her apartment. She'd moved to the city, and she had it on her fridge. And I wrote one, I was in college and I wrote one to my brother too. But I would do that too, write little cards. Even my friends when I was younger, their birthday cards, I'd make them cards and I would write what a great friend they are and I'd draw them a little picture. And so I could really express my heart because everybody meant a lot to me, right? So I'd experienced loss when I was younger. So when you go through that, sometimes you're attached. So yours was you kind of detached, I attached. That also comes with its own level. People are able to manipulate you, walk all over you, use you, become a people pleaser, all of that. So it's the opposite. That's why I need the Holy Spirit for that balance. So that made me kind of a walking target growing up. But I expressed myself that way too. So I was up for writing. If you can't say it, or even if they're not there, to write it down. And it takes out your flesh too. You're just like, what do I want to tell this person? And what do I want to free them of also? And you just forgiving that, forgiving your foster mother probably helped her to forgive herself too. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention was, so we talked about the healing process. You said how it's still going on because you have to deal with yourself. Sometimes we just stop at the people in our lives, but you're just so wise to go to you. You said the anger, the wrath, the hatred that was in you that has come from your experiences. And then you also said things that have been done generationally. Do you want to speak a little bit more on that?
Yeah, okay.
And what that looks like for you today.
I dealt, if I didn't want to deal with something, if people came against me, if even if it was an offense, perceived offense, whatever it was, if I didn't go off on you, then I would just withdraw. I would withdraw from you. I would withdraw in a heartbeat, not realizing that's a generational spirit that's been in my family on both sides, my mother's side and my father's side. So it's very strong. So we will withdraw in a minute. Say the wrong thing, we won't speak to you at all, And and that's been something that I've been battling with for quite a few years. And I had to keep pushing through that it didn't matter if I felt somebody offended me or if they said something wrong or whatever. I had to keep pressing in. I would have to act like it never happened because I could no longer withdraw. So, and then a lot of inner wounds had to be healed. Because when I first got born again, God had said, I remember he said, everything you went through that caused you to be the way you were.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go through all that again. But this time you're going to come out with the love of God. This time you're going to come out with the right response. This time you're going to come out the right way. And I was like, okay, but how would that happen? I ain't with my family, but he did it through my Christian family. So it's like, cause that can only happen with people who you love or you supposed to be close to. So, so I've been going through that process of going through that stuff, but now coming, out of it with the right response.
Powerful. And you explain it very well that going through it wasn't literally I got to go through the abuse again, but those personalities, even those spirits, you're going to encounter them, but it's really what they talk about in the faith, that you have to pass the test. But it's a test, not, hey, you've got to show you're like perfect, but it's a purifying of your soul. And so if there's somebody says something against you and you want to retaliate, say something bad against them, it may just be in a conversation, but it came from, you know, what you went through growing up. So that has to be dealt with. And then God addresses that till you can get into any situation where someone says something and you're like, yeah, I don't want to get back at them. I don't like it, but you know, he's dealt with that. So
and that's
powerful.
all that's all also finding your identity in Christ, knowing who you are, not what you was told as you was growing up, but knowing who you really are, who Christ says you are, you know. So yeah, and then believing it, knowing it, and believing it, and walking in it.
What would you say about what God has shown you about your identity now versus what was said, that you are unlovable, only your mother could ever, all those horrible things that were said? What would you say to yourself now, or what did you say to counter that, to take on that new identity that you have?
Basically, it's just starting now. It's like now I confess, you know, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I say,
Amen.
I'm like, Holy Spirit, Father, show me, let me see myself as you see me.
Yes.
You know? So I just keep,
Amen.
because that's where I'm at now. So I keep saying that now.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, so that's and believing who I am, you know, not if somebody says, oh, you a powerful intercessor, and I'll be like, no, I'm not, you know, but believing, no, it's okay, that's who God made me to be, that, you know,
Amen.
It's and it's him praying through me, it's not me, you know, it's knowing what gifts and abilities he had placed inside me, and then begin to walk them out.
Yes.
You know, so
yeah. Amen. Yeah. And that just meaning that you are yielded to the Spirit flowing through you. So somebody who may not be powerful, they're restricted, whether it's sin, whether it's fear, whether it's doubt, it may be trauma. They may not know, like we just talked about, the truth of who they are. I can't pray, or they believe a lie. God doesn't hear me when I'm praying. I'm not really talking to God. So there could be doubt that hinders. And so the fact you said believing, you know who you are, you profess it, you know who God is, and so you're surrendered, and he can just flow. So we talked about how you went from that hardening to that place of surrender to God. So can you talk a little bit more about that? You talked about the healing process, but I guess your that change in your heart.
Okay, the first time God ever dealt with my heart, I was in, I believe, high school, 9th grade, probably. Junior. It was 8th or 9th grade, and I was fighting with my brother, and my brother kept saying, "I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight you," because my brother, God revealed to me, he had to have people show that my brother always loved me. He always watched over me, you know, where I didn't reciprocate it, he did. I mean, he knew. So it got to a point where I was fighting him, and all of a sudden, God showed me my heart, and it was black. It was black. And he took a little piece of that heart and made it red. And he said, "This is the love for your brother." And that was when I was able to start loving my brother. And I didn't fight him anymore. And that's when I began to really care, but he was the only one that I was like that with, you know.
Yeah.
So going through the years when I went through my first deliverance process years and years and years later. I went through my first deliverance process. And after I came out, I remember when the pastor who was doing the deliverance, she came to me after one of the services. She said, God just showed me the final claws of the demons had been ripped off of your heart. She said, because the demons' claws had totally gripped my heart. Like my heart was totally in their hands. And so,
wow.
So
wow.
that was, so then, and then he had to like teach me how to love.
Yes.
Because even with my brother, I didn't know how to really love. I loved him the wrong way. And God had to teach me how to love. And so my thing was, God, teach me. Because I was like, Lord, you teach me how to love,
Yes.
So.
Powerful, powerful. So he had to, and that's for anybody who doesn't know Christ, at least for believers, there's a spiritual aspect. And I don't know if anyone can truly get free until they deal with the spirit. The flesh is going to come out. I mean, the flesh response will show up. We're not our perfected self, but it just means I may feel the emotion, but who I was, it's not going to be who I am now. It may still upset me, but hopefully we'll have a Christ response. But if you haven't dealt with that spirit part, as you said, through your deliverance, there was a bondage, a hold on your heart, which then just confirms that vision God showed you of the black heart.
Right.
And until that, even after you're set free, that's from the control the enemy has. But then you've got to learn. And that's where you fill it with truth. The same is with our minds. Okay, I have all this out. I have the mind of Christ. It's like, okay, now I got to fill it with truth. And teach my mind how to think like Christ.
Right.
And so, that's powerful. So I want to just ask you probably 2 more questions, but what's one thing you would want your listeners to take away from your story? Something that would help them on their journey, whether it's the same as yours or different, but whatever challenge they're facing, what's something they can learn from how you overcame all of your obstacles, challenges, and even the part of then, even though I've gotten out of this situation, dealing with self?
One of the things I would, no matter what you're going through, don't allow it to put you in that mode of hate. Don't allow it to totally take you out to the point where you go to drugs, you go to alcohol, you hang out with the wrong people. It's like you have to find a positive.
Yeah.
You have to find something that will take you on another path, not down that path of destruction. And it's not going to be easy because, life is really not easy. But if you really have a desire, you also have to have a focus, a goal, something in you where I'm not going to be a statistic. The things I believe God had placed in me, because I've seen so many, even those in the same home, so many, and so many foster kids become a statistic. And you have to be able to say, I'm not going to be a statistic. I'm not going to be on depending on the government. I'm not going to be this. I'm not going to be that. You have to be you have to be able to say, I'm not going to, and then begin to find the right path to go down where you can get to help, because it is there. Because even with me, if that social worker didn't come in the house and say, do you want to go away to school? I only chose to go away to school to get out of the home because there was too much going on. So I chose to go away to school, not realizing that was my pathway out, you know. And the foster agency provides a pathway for everyone to go to school. They pay your way full, completely. Go away to school. You can take that opportunity and become who you want to become. Don't let the situation you're in define you, you know.
Yeah.
But you have to want it. You have to take that step, and it's worth the challenge. You know, it's worth it. You know, but it's not giving in to peer pressure, not believing that, because especially in the community, in certain communities that we live in, because even when I went away to school, the first thing they said was, oh, when you go away to school, when you come back, none of your friends going to want to deal with you, because they're like, oh, you think you this, you think you that, you went away to school, you think you're better than we are. And that happened with me. I came back home and none of my friends would speak to me. And so because how my personality was, I was like, well, you wasn't no real friend anyway, you know, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to keep on. And so I went through a time when I had no friends in my neighborhood that I grew up with. They just stopped speaking to me. But God gave me new friends. Friends from school, you know, and friends that didn't have the mentality of, I got to tear you down, but friends who had the mentality of, I'm going to help build you up, I'm going to help lift you up, you know. And I said to my brother one day, because he was into the street, very street, and lived by the code of the street. And I said, no, you don't have to live like that. He was like, well, that's all that's around here. I said, well, ask God for new friends. I did. I said, I asked God for new friends. I said, it was before I even was saved. I said, God, give me new friends. Give me friends who don't drink. Give me friends who don't smoke. And he answered that in my 3rd year of college. You know, so I said, you know, just, you know, you just have to be something that you want. You know, and just, you know, and you have to know that, the whole thing, God will do it. You know, even if you're not saved, but you know a little about him, just what little you know, just press into him with that little that you know. If you are asking God to change you for the better, he's going to do it.
Amen.
If you're asking him for things without you even really knowing that he really wants to do for you, he's going to do it, because he's glad you're asking him for those things. He's glad you're asking him to do it. You know, and don't be discouraged on how long it will take. Just keep asking. Just know, this is what I want. Just like if you're a basketball player, you know you want to make it big, so you keep going and going and going and going at it. That's the same thing with anything. So do the same thing with God. You know what you want. Ask him to bring you out of that life. Ask him to change your heart. Ask him to give you new friends. Ask him to do this, and keep asking him until it's done. And he's going to lead you into that path where those things can start happening.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. You gave so many gems, powerful gems that helped you in your journey. And I hope that anybody going through any challenging situation, if from your past or currently, that just the advice that she's given that's been tested and tried true in her life. Those mentalities that she had to develop, God mentalities, helps you in your journey. So thank you for sharing. Now, before I let you go, I want to have a little light close out. And so I wanted to ask you about a little bit about yourself. What's something fun or interesting that you like to do that people may not know about you? So something you like to do or something about yourself that people may not know about you.
Oh, I like hiking. I like bike riding. I like roller skating. I like reading. I like collecting a scrapbook. Um, yeah, I love to just I like to travel and look at. I love just scenic. I love to look at the creation, look at beautiful. I just love just to look like if you go to Colorado and look at the mountains, or or go to
Yeah.
Alaska, or go
Oh,
someplace and
yeah.
just look at. I love those things. Yeah,
Yeah. Seeing God's creation. What's
yeah.
some place you've been at recently that you really enjoyed?
I have not really been able to travel because I went through a surgery, and so really getting on a plane and stuff like that, I really could not do for a long time. So
Yeah.
I'm believing this year I will want to start to travel again and start going to places. So yeah, but for the past few years I have not been able to. So yeah, but
Oh, that's all right. What's a place you've been to in the past that you really enjoyed?
one of the
Um,
oh so
or where
many,
you got to
so
see?
many.
Yeah.
So many. It was when I went, but I loved mostly all of them. I loved Europe when I went to
Mm.
Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
Taking up on a mountain and just or into the landscape. I loved Colorado, looking at their mountains. I loved what else was really breathtaking. I loved Paris at night, looking at the Eiffel
Oh,
Tower all lit up. It was just so gorgeous.
oh,
Um,
amazing. Mm.
there was so many
Yeah.
things.
So you
I
love to
just,
travel.
yeah, I love to travel. And that's one thing I think
Yeah.
I got that love because even though the first foster mom was the way she was, she traveled and she took us with her. And
Oh,
so that have
okay.
always been in me. So, so yeah, I love to travel.
Hmm. Oh, wow. That's so cool. You've been to a lot of amazing places. Well, I just want to thank you so much for just sharing your story with us. It's been amazing. It's been insightful. It's been emotional, but really good because we get to see the victory and all your hard work you've put in to just be the woman that you are. And you're amazing and inspiring, and I can't wait to see where God takes you next. So